and also my beloved participants of the international webinar. Firstly, let's thank and pray unto our God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us His mercies and blessings, so we can attend in this meeting in a good condition and happy situation. Secondly, may salawat and salam always be given to our Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from the darkness to the lightness, that is Islam religion. And thirdly, I want to say thank you very much for all participants for joining the international webinar, Critical Issue and Challenges in Islamic Economic and Finance Development. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jabiba. As Mrs. of Ceremony today, let me deliver the structure of the event this morning. First is opening. Second is reciting Holy Al-Quran. Third is singing Indonesia Raya anthem and Sang Surya. Welcoming speech, the core event, question and answer, and then paper presenter presentation, closing and announcement the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the first is opening. Let us open this agenda by reciting Basmalah together.
Bismillah.
Alright. The second agenda is reciting Holy Al-Quran. To Brother Ahmad Arfian, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu idza tanajaitum fala tatanajaw bil ismi wal udwani wa ma'siyatir rasul wa tanajaw bil birri wat taqwa wattaqullaha alladzi ilaihi tuhsyarun. Innaman najwa minasy syaitani liyahzunal ladzina amanu وليس بضارهم شيئا إلا بإذن الله وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much to Brother Ahmad. May Allah bless us. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. The next event is singing Indonesia Raya Anthem and Hymn Sang Surya. All participants are expected to turn off the audio.
Bersatu
Thank you so much for all participants. The next event is welcoming speech. The first speech is from the Dean of Islamic Studies Faculty, Muhammadiyah University of Surakarta. To Mr. Dr. Syamsul Hidayat, MAG, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Alhamdulillah,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
alhamdulillahi haqqa hamdi wa syukru lillahi haqqa syukrih wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya min ba'dih wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man ittaba'al huda ila yaumiddin, amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, nashkurullah kasiran fi hadhil munasabah fi hadhihi an-nadwa abra al-internet allati ta'qituha yakni Rabitah Tolabah Barnamaj Hukum Ekonomi Syariah yakni Dirasa al-Hukuk al-Iktisad al-Islami fi Kuliah al-Ulum al-Islamiyah fi awalan li jami'i al-musyariki fi an-nadwa abra al-internet. Awadu an urahiba bikum marhaban kudumikum lil indimam ila nadwa. Narju an nastati'a an ta'khud al-manafi al-kasir min hadhihi an-nadwa al-mubarakah, yakni an-nadwa an qadaya al-iktisad al-islami wa Islamic finance, yakni at-tamwil al-islami, ya, at-tamwil al-islami. Tabaan narju an nastati an nakhud al-manafi al-katsira wal fawasirah min hadhihi at-talabah li tanmiyati ulumihim wa ma'alimihim wa ma'arifihim wa kadzalika hadhihi kulliyah al-ulum al-islamiyah ad-dirasai al-hukuk al-iktisad al-islami fi jami'atina. Wa nashkurukum li jami'ati Erlangga Indonesia, yakni min Surabaya, wa kadzalika nashkuruk li Ustazah Profesor Dr. Salina Kasim min Jami'ah al-Islamiyah al-Alamiyah ICIEIFIL. Nashkurukum ala hudurikum wa nashkurukum ala ulumikum. Insyaallah sanakhud al-manafi wal fawaid al-katsirah min muhadaratikum wa min ulumikum fi hadhihi al-munasabah. Wa akhiran li ماذا للجنة في هذه الندوة. نشكركم أيضا. نحن نرجو أن يجري أن تجري بسهولة وبكل خير إن شاء الله. وأخيرا نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the speech, Mr. Syamsul Hidayat. Okay, the second speech is from the head of Sharia Economic Laws Study Programs to Mr. Asar Alam, SELCMSEI. The time is yours.
Thanks. Can you hear my voice?
Is it clear?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My voice is clear enough, or there is some noisy voice here?
Is it clear, Mr.?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ceremony. I would like to deliver my welcoming speech to all participants, and please thank you for your participating this agenda. This is our first agenda in our first kind of international conference that we can help in our department program, and we hopefully we can improve this agenda to be better in the next round or the next time. And also I can thank enough for all keynote speaker, Prof. Selina and Dr. Bayu, because for their acceptance to be keynote speaker in this agenda. And I would like also to thank for our participants who come from abroad, like Pakistan, Seth Alemdar, and also I forgot the name, but one come from Malaysia, and I hopefully this is can benefit us much, and hopefully we can improve also as our department go further to the next level. And Alhamdulillah, I thank also to committee and the chairman, especially Mr. Nuriski, who handle this agenda and organize this agenda well, and hopefully we can improve our this agenda to be better. Even the best can be improved. So that's and also I want to say in this occasion that like such this agenda is not only about the scientific or the scientific scientific section that we can get. Through this agenda, we learn a lot. We learn quickly about how to organize the agenda and how to communicate with people, especially around the world. And also we have to be brave. I think this is a first time also for our student organization to help us for making this agenda. So I think this will be benefit us much, and we can improve better for the future. And this is like description the brightest future for our program and our student and for all of the participants and for all committee members. That's all. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the speech, Mr. Azhar. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next speech is from the head of Committee of International Webinar to Mr. Fauza Hanif, LCMSC. The time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Nahmadu wa nasta'inu wa nastaghfiruh. Na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiyalah. Allahumma shalli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Okay, so thank you for Miss Habiba as the MC today for giving me the time to deliver my speech on behalf of all the committees. So first of all, I want to thank all of the committees who have devoted their efforts in order to bring this very special agenda held, I think, one yearly, and this is, as the head of department said, this is our very first international call for paper and webinar, because as we know that previously we only had the national, but since now it's more convenient to help an international agenda to this. Yes, thanks to the pandemic, I have to say it. So we can still interact with so many people outside there, including Prof. Salina Kasim from Malaysia, from International Islamic University Malaysia, and Dr. Bayu Arifianto from UNED. So secondly, I would like to thank the head of department who has mandated this very special duty, I guess, to help this call for paper and this webinar. It's quite a short time. We have to be honest. It's very short time for us to prepare this agenda, and especially this one is international. We had only roughly 2 months to hold this agenda, but still, we found that there are a lot of participants here, presenters here, who are eagerly waiting for this event. So thank you for the head of the department, Mr. Azhar Alam, for your information, for all the participants, presenter, and maybe I don't think that Prof. Salina Kasim is already attended. No, I think. So currently, for your information, our head of department invited to KNEKS, Komite Nasional Ekonomi Keuangan Syariah. So maybe he wouldn't be able to attend the whole agenda, since he invited as the expert participant. They call it respondent ahli. So I would like to translate it as an expert participant in a focus group discussion held by 19 experts, including the head of central bank for Yogyakarta region, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan, Financial Service Authority of Yogyakarta as well, and many of head of associations, including the associations of the Department Hukum Ekonomi Syariah and associations of the researchers, as well as head. I mean, when I say associations here, it is the head of the association. So associations of lawyers. Then we have there in this FGD that attended by our head of department. There is also National Sharia Board member, Basharnas to be more exact, Basharnas MUI, and another 7 lecturers has been invited to the agenda held by the KNEKS at Yogyakarta today. There are also 7 lecturers, including our university, our department. There are 2 lecturers invited there, and I think there are also from Universitas Gadjah Mada and Universitas Islam Indonesia and some other universities that are well known for their research and contribution for Islamic economic and finance. So on behalf of the committee, we would like to deliver our highest gratitude, first of all, through Prof. Salina Kasim, even though she's not here yet. So I would like to deliver this very high gratitude. Actually, Prof. Salina Kasim, I'm sure that all of us know her, not her personality, but we know her best for her research. Me, myself, anytime that I try to conduct a research, I cannot avoid but ending in reading her research in many fields. I mean, in Islamic finance, but in many subfields of the Islamic finance. So, Prof. Salina Kasim, he is one of the prominent scholars we know. for the field of Islamic finance. And we also would like to thank Dr. Bayu Arifianto. Actually, recently he had a session with us lecturers at the UMS, Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta, I think 1 week before Idul Fitri, 1 week before Idul Fitri, or about 10 days before Idul Fitri, Dr. Bayu had a session with us, delivering a very, very good presentation regarding that data, how to publish our data in international journal, international reputation journal. So today we invited both of them, thanks to the head of department who has contacted both of them. Today we invited both of them in this very special agenda, call for paper and international webinar, in the hope that they will give us a very insightful about the critical issues that currently we have, and about the challenge that we have in the Islamic finance and Islamic economics and finance development. Because as we know, maybe the lecturers only have sufficient time to deliver enough theory, but we don't have time to deliver many of the problems related to the current and very recent and very actual problem of the Islamic economics and finance. So we welcome those presenters and participants and all those speakers. And I would like to introduce more that our department currently, for our presenter and for our speaker, our department currently has 931 students, active students, with our alumni spread wide over the country. Some of them become the head of pondok, head of the boarding school. Many of them involved or being employed in the financial industry, whether it is in insurance or whether it is in banking sector, or whether it is in microfinance sector. And to support our department, we have also, long time ago, the lecturers at our faculty, they had an idea to found BMT, Baitul Mal wa Tamwil, Islamic Microfinance Institution, called Amanah Ummah. So this BMT Amanah Ummah was actually founded by our lecturers back ago, long ago, I think, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. So this BMT will support us in understanding more about the critical issues and challenges, about the very practical one, as well, in order to enhance the knowledge of the students. We also have about 20 partners from the Baitul Mal wa Tamwil. I forgot to mention that this Baitul Mal wa Tamwil Amanah Ummah, that founded by the Fakultas Agama Islam, our faculty, as far as I know, it is one of the biggest BMT around Solo resident. When I say Solo resident, I mean including 5 other cities surrounding Solo. So it could be considered as one of the 5 largest, or maybe one of the 10 largest. But yes, the BMT, this BMT Amanah Ummah, founded by our very faculty, expanded very well under the direction. So the director itself is our alumni, Mr. Faisal. He is our very alumni, and he conducted very well in developing this PMT Amanah Ummah and gathering another 20 partners of PMT by the help of Mr. Faisal. And currently, we have also the virtual exchange student, the public university at Malaysia. There are, I think, 8, 9, 10, I forgot the number, about those students. So currently we have an exchange student as well with some universities at Malaysia. I guess it is a good progress. so that we can give slight slight experience about how the lecturers at those universities, how the atmosphere of being studying there. So yes, we have those exchange students, and we also program to have another exchange student, but we have to hold it for a while due to some technical reasons within our department. And currently we have one of the lecturer from International Islamic University Malaysia currently giving us lecture in methodology course, I guess. Yeah, in course of methodology. So we have expanded our link, and we do our best effort in order to support the students to understand more about the critical issues and the challenges and the practical problems of the industry of Islamic economics and finance. So I don't want to prolong, but we still have to wait the Prof. Salina Kasim to attend, or maybe they can anyone confirm that Prof. Salina Kasim or either Dr. Bayu attended this meeting already? No, right?
Still in the progress, Mister.
Okay, no problem. So I hope all the all the participants will enjoy this event. We do, I will say it again and again, that we do our best in order to bring this special agenda and this important agenda to all of you. So let's enjoy the event, and let's contribute. After attending this event, we hope that we can contribute more to the development of Islamic finance, either by learning more about the system, understanding more about the system, embracing more books, embracing more articles and journals, so that we can appraise what is right, not only condemn that Islamic banking is not that Islamic as we always heard, but we have to appraise what is right. We have to appraise what have been done by our scholars. And then a part of it, we still have to correct and do and deliver our critics for whatever we consider it wrong, but not a destructive critic. Instead, the critic that will bring better practice in the industry. So yes, we appraise, and after that we correct. And we cannot do all of these things unless we learn more about the system, we understand more about the system. So we hope this call for paper and this international webinar will bring and will give more knowledge to all the participants and the presenters. Finally, for your information as well, on behalf of committee and on behalf of the department, we have our journal. We using international language, currently accredited as, I would say, the second best. Formally, it is the third best among 6, or we could call it 7. So formally, it's third best in terms of journal. But since the first ranked journals are Scopus indexed journal, so I would like our journal is second best national in rank. So it is an honor for us to invite all the presenters, or maybe the speakers as well, to contribute to our journal, since we develop and devote our effort in this journal not only to develop the journal itself, but to develop Islamic finance more and bring further development as well to the Islamic economy. So accredited by, we call it in Indonesia, Sinta. It's accredited by Sinta with third rank formally, but I would like to say it second rank nationally. So we would like to invite you all. We have several editors there and reviewers, reputable and renowned reviewers that we invited to review these articles. Those come to our journal. The journal itself is called GISEL, Journal of Islamic Law and Economics. Journal of Islamic, what again? Islamic Economic Laws. Journal of Islamic Economic Laws. So please feel free to contact us if you want to know further about this journal, and feel free to contribute to this journal, and we would like to reply to your articles as fast as possible. Lastly, I don't want to prolong really. We have Dr. Bayu Arifianto here. Welcome, Dr. Bayu, and Prof. Salina. Haven't seen her yet. So yes, thank you very much, Dr. Bayu. I also attended your first session with UMS in talking about the data publication in Elsevier. What's the name of the journal? I forgot about it. I attended that meeting and it was so insightful. So it was an honor for us to have you in this very special agenda. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the speech, Mr. Fauzal Hanif. And now, ladies and gentlemen, because this international webinar, we have to know more about Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta. So please enjoy the profile video of Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta.
Nggak bunyi nggak?
Sorry, there are some technical issues. We will go back again after the issues being solved.
Okay, during the preparation of the videos, I would like to welcome from Mr. Bayu Arifianto. Welcome to Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta. And now, maybe this video is done, and please enjoy.
UMS memiliki visi yaitu sebagai pusat pendidikan dan pengembangan iftak yang islami dan sekaligus memberikan arah perubahan. Di dalam memberikan arah perubahan tidak hanya bersifat lokal, tetapi diharapkan menjadi arah perubahan pada peradaban dunia. Oleh karena itu, di dalam milestone kami pada tahun 2029, UMS diharapkan menjadi world class university. Maka dalam kurun waktu ini kami melakukan berbagai program dalam rangka untuk memperkuat reputasi internasional. Kami telah membuka beberapa tahun yang lalu kelas-kelas internasional dan juga sekaligus saat ini kami sedang lebih mengembangkan kerjasama dengan luar negeri, baik dengan berbagai institusi maupun lembaga-lembaga pendidikan tinggi.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived at the main event of the international webinar, which will be delivered by Professor Dr. Salina Kasim, then continued with Mr. Bayu Arifianto, SE MBA PhD. The section is guided by Mr. Aminuddin Ma'ruf, and let me introduce our moderator today. The name is Mr. Aminuddin Ma'ruf, BERKH MSc, lecturer of Sharia Economic Law Study Program, Bachelor of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Heritage, International Islamic University Malaysia, Master of Science in Islamic Finance in International Center for Education in Islamic Finance. So without waiting for long, Mr. Aminuddin, the time is yours.
All right, thank you, Master of Ceremony, Sister Habibah. And now, Alhamdulillah, we already arrived at the main event, which is the plenary session that will be delivered by Prof. Salina Kasim and Dr. Bayu, continued by Dr. Bayu Arifianto. And before that, I guess Prof. Salina Kasim is yet with us, and I would like to give the overview of the event today. So basically, today's event is our webinar and call paper. We'll discuss about the critical issue on Islamic economics, Islamic finance, and also another thing related to Islamic banking and Islamic finance and economics. We know that we are facing the current pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic era, and now we are dealing with the recession of the economics, and then we are dealing with many catastrophic that we did not expect before. So we are as academician and also as the university, we have our role in discussing this, and then we would like to invite our prominent scholars, which is Prof. Salina Kasim of IUM and also Dr. Bayu Arifianto of University of Airlangga. In this morning, inshallah, we'll discuss more about how is the future of Islamic banking and finance, how we need to develop this Islamic banking and finance industry to prevent from next catastrophic that we cannot expect now. So this morning, I would like to remind everyone that in the event, please mute your microphone, and then also please participate and take note of what they delivered, our prominent scholars delivered about that on their speech. At the end of the event, we'll have three best door prize for three best questions. So please take note and then prepare your questions and just drop your question in the chat box. And at the end of each session, I'll deliver the question to the panelists, or I'll deliver the question to the speaker. Then we'll select three best questions of the from the participants that will be given the door prize for today's events, inshallah. So we'll criticize and we'll look at the reality of the Islamic banking and finance and how it performance during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also we'll discuss more about how about the Islamic economic and finance adapt to SDG agenda, which will be end on 2030. So what about the development of the green finance, ethical finance, and also many things related to the current issue of the world. Mainly their view issues that I can remember. The first one is let's say we have the European country that promoting about the sustainability and also the ethical and also environmental values that we need to embrace in our financial system. As we know, Islamic finance itself is Islamic finance itself has this value embedded within the system, because Islamic finance base their principles on the Islamic values and principles, which is Sharia Islam. So in this area, how we practice, how we translate, how we adapt, and how we practice these values and these principles, Islamic principles that we gain from our Quran, that we gain from our main references, which is Quran and Sunnah, and how we adapt and how we translate it into the Islamic financial systems. While waiting for our main speaker from IUM, Prof. Salina Kasim, I think the committee is contacting her right now. So I would like to invite everyone to join and participate, and also for the next conference, inshallah, next year, to prepare, I mean, the paper, and then to prepare their research on this. And this is we are inviting the prominent scholars here to know, I mean, how to deal with this, how to deal with the current issue, and how to produce an academic paper, which is to be reference from the industry, to be reference for the academia, and to make a greater body of knowledge for the Islamic economics and finance. We are glad here that we have Dr. Bayu with us here. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Bayu. How are you?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Mr. Aminuddin, yeah.
So
I'm fine.
we are really delightful and honored to have both of Dr. Bayu and Prof. Salina Kasim this morning. And also we have our lecturer and then many participants from other countries, Pakistan, Malaysia, and other countries. So we are really honored and delightful to have you all this very morning and this brightful day. Okay, I guess Prof. Salina Kasim is already with us. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Salina. Prof. Salina, can you hear me? All right, perhaps she is dealing with the system or any structural session. Okay, let me proceed. Let me continue with introducing this agenda today. So inshallah today we'll discuss more, and then we'll discuss in deep how Islamic finance going forward, how Islamic banking need to adapt. As we know, we have the major Islamic banks in Indonesia, 3 biggest Islamic banks, and it is expected to be one of the biggest Islamic banks in the world. So we really hope and we really pray for the continuity and then the future of Islamic banks and Islamic banking and finance industry, especially in Indonesia and more globally in other countries all over the world. All right. Before that, we'll like to introduce our university. So it's our university. We have this Hukum Ekonomi Syariah or Islamic financial law. So we discuss this, and then we will have this seminar once a year, inshallah. And so we'll doing this seminar annually. And okay, before without any further ado, let me introduce our main speaker for today's session for this. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Salina. Okay, let me introduce. Alhamdulillah, Prof. Salina is already joined us, and then let me directly introduce. Good morning, Prof. Salina, and I hope you are in good health.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me directly introduce, and we are delightful and honored to have you here with us today, this morning. So we really wait for your insightful speech today. And let me introduce the biography and the profile of Prof. Salina Kasim. So Prof. Salina Kasim, she has published extensively in index peer-reviewed academic journal with nearly 150 articles, with her works being the main reference to both the academia and industry. She is among the top and most prolific writers in the area of Islamic finance. Reflecting her outstanding performance, she won several Best Paper Awards in various academic conferences. She has also published several books, mainly in the areas of Islamic finance with reputable publishers, such as IUM, UPM, and other publishers. Her primary research focus includes various areas of Islamic banking and finance, especially Islamic social finance, monetary or financial economics, where she has produced substantial research output in the areas of Islamic microfinance, Waqf, and women entrepreneurship, as well as economic empowerment. At present, she is supervising and has supervised 49 PhD candidates and PhD students, and 26 master's candidates. She has also served as internal and external examiners for master's and PhD theses in several universities in Malaysia and Indonesia. She was appointed as adjunct professor at the Airlangga University, Surabaya, in Indonesia from January 2019 and December 2019. Moreover, she is also received recognition as top of 100 most influential women in Islamic business and finance 2019, awarded by Cambridge IFA in Dubai in 2019. And also Distinguished Woman in Management, awarded by Venice International Foundation in 2020. Prof. Salina received a PhD in Monetary Economics in 2006 from the IUM, International Islamic University, Malaysia, and master and bachelor degree from the USA in 1992 and 1994, respectively. Currently, Prof. Salina is Dean of IUM Islamic Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. Without further ado, Prof. Salina Kasim, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I'm very happy and indeed honored to be here. Brother moderator, thank you so much. I would also like to recognize the attendance of respectful Dean of the Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta. Also the head of Sharia Economic Law Department, Bapak Dr. Azhar Alam.
You're welcome.
Respected fellow speaker, I can see Bapak Dr. Bayu Arifianto. How are you, Doctor?
Alhamdulillah, Prof.
Alhamdulillah. How's our colleague in Airlangga? I miss them so much. Okay. Alhamdulillah. All right. Respected graduates from the Faculty of Islamic Studies, okay, as well as Sharia Economic Law Department. So I'm very happy to be here, and before anything, let us together make dua to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala so that we will be protected from the COVID-19 pandemic that is
Amin, amin.
happening right now. So I hope everyone is good. Let me allow me to share screen. Okay. So this is the topic that I was asked to cover for the purpose of this conference, the International Conference on Islamic Economics, Islamic Finance and Islamic Law 2021. Thank you again and again to the organizer of the conference for inviting me to share some of my insights on the critical issues and challenges in Islamic economics and Islamic finance development. So I would like to start the discussion or my presentation with a situation whereby we observe today that there tends to be an irony. An irony meaning I would like to highlight that the major objective of the Islamic economics is to improve income and economic equality, fair distribution of income, and thereby reducing the income gap between the rich and the poor. However, we see the reality today is that income inequality is, I would say, acute in many Muslim countries. In fact, if we look at data, recent data, 50% of the world's poverty is happening in the Muslim countries all over the globe, although total number of Muslims are only 24% of the world population. So I would like to highlight this as something that is baffling, something that is irony. Ya, dalam bahasa kita kata sesuatu yang pelik, dan tidak seharusnya berlaku, because the objective of Islamic economics is to promote income equality, and Islamic finance are actually expanding very rapidly. But what is the role of Islamic finance in addressing the acute income inequality, especially happening in the Muslim countries? So we see today in the mainstream finance, which also include the Islamic banks, there seems to be a categorization, okay, between those that are bankables and unbankables. And this is acknowledged in the global Findex, Financial Inclusion Index by the World Bank. And it seems that there are some sort of discrimination being practiced by the banks, by the mainstream finance. So I would like to highlight these issues, and later on I would lead to the discussion of how Islamic finance can actually play the role in reducing this income gap, in addressing these issues that I have highlighted. In particular, you can see that according to the World Bank Global Findex, Global Financial Inclusion Index, shows that there are gaps, there are discrimination in terms of financial access across demography. Okay, where we see women, so I'm highlighting the point here, the summary of all this observation here, we see that who are being discriminated? Women, the poor, the youngsters or the youth, and the rural residents are being discriminated, not being able to access the mainstream finance that are expanding. Even though the mainstream finance, both the conventional as well as the Islamic, are expanding very rapidly, but we see that this group are people being, not to say, yeah, perhaps we can say being denied access to finance. So again, I would like to highlight, perhaps since all of you are familiar with the essence of Islamic economics and Islamic finance, I think it would be good for us to reiterate, refresh, or at least we are being refreshed of the essences of Islamic finance and Islamic economics. We know that the essence of Islamic finance here, so I put IF for short, includes justice and fairness in distribution of wealth. It promotes the principles of risk or reward in the process of wealth creation. Therefore, if it promotes risk and reward, therefore the Islamic financial institutions and market will therefore support the activities that involve entrepreneurship and creativity. However, we see today that in most cases that even Islamic finance are moving towards the so-called safer side of finance. So this is the area that has been observed all along, whereby most of the instruments in Islamic finance, let it be by the banking institution or even in Islamic microfinance, the instruments are all based on debt-based. In fact, a finding by CGAP, later on I will highlight this, a finding by CGAP shows that 70% of the Islamic microfinance instruments are based on debt-based instruments. So how do we move forward? How or what can Islamic finance do to address the problems that we see today in many of the Muslim society? So therefore, as an extension, Islamic finance aims to achieve the maqasid Sharia. The great Islamic scholar Al-Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah said that the objective of maqasid Sharia is to promote well-being. So I want to further highlight on this, to promote well-being of all mankind by safeguarding these 5 essential elements. All of us know this, the 5 elements of maqasid Sharia: protecting the deen, protecting the faith, the human self, the intellect, the posterity, and the wealth. Okay, and normally in the overall context of Islamic economics and Islamic finance, we zoom into the protection of wealth, al-mal, okay, and safeguarding these elements will serve the overall objective of the maslahah, thus are desirable. For example, by promoting, just a specific example in the context of Islamic finance, prohibiting investment in instruments with excessive gharar will help to provide the protection of the mal. Okay, and therefore it will be a very good check and balance. Islamic finance should be providing a very stable system whereby there will be check and balance in terms of the recent development in the financial sector. As you can see nowadays, many of the people or investors are investing in cryptocurrency. So we want to know what is the position, what is the role of Islamic finance in mediating the main issue with regard to investment or transactions involving cryptocurrency, which is excessive uncertainty. So how do we manage that? Should we promote that? So these are some issues which are ongoing, which has yet to be given much attention, and this can be a potential area of research. And as we all know that Chapra 2007, Umar Chapra has used the Al-Ghazali's theory of public interest, the maslahah, to classify these elements to develop a model of human development as well as well-being. So therefore, the model of human development and well-being within the framework of Islamic finance should actually give priority to the preservation of these 5 elements, which is faith, human self, intellect, prosperity and wealth, preservation of wealth. So conceptually, that's the situation. However, we see that, again, I would like to highlight the irony that is happening despite the rapid development of Islamic finance in the globe. We see there seems to be a detached the Islamic finance and Islamic economics seems to be based on simple observation. It seems to be detached from each other. By right, based on the model developed by Chapra, based on Imam Al-Ghazali's philosophy of Maqasid Sharia, a description of Maqasid Sharia, Islamic finance and Islamic economics should grow together. The development of Islamic finance should provide the much needed financial resources to expand, to support the Islamic economic system, which promote real economic activity, which should go beyond just money, creating money. It should be money supporting real economic activity. All right. So we see today, as I have mentioned, the rapid development of Islamic finance industry with total asset is expected to achieve or to surpass, to go beyond 2 trillion. And this is based on the projection of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in 2019. And we see that, yes, all financial industry are affected due to the COVID-19, yes. However, there seems to be relatively resilient. The Islamic financial system tend to be more resilient. That's an observation that I have made, the development during COVID-19. So we see that that Islamic finance is expected to sustain double-digit growth as it has recorded last year towards this year. And it is anticipated with the rapid growth, Islamic finance or Islamic financial system will gradually become an important component of the global financial system. However, I would like to highlight a few things. Despite the rapid growth of Islamic finance, in general, we see that even though Islamic finance is an industry developing in more than 60 countries, more than 60 countries throughout the globe. In other words, now Islamic finance is being practiced in more than 60 countries throughout the globe. The 95% of the global Islamic financial assets are concentrated in 10 countries only. Okay, that is one. And number two is in terms of the growth within the business segment, the market segment of Islamic finance industry itself, where we see the development of Islamic finance is being limited to the 3 main sectors since the rapid development of the industry in the 1970s, 1980s and beyond. We see that Islamic finance industry is only concentrated in 3 industries. Of course, we know Islamic banking is expanding, and in fact, it contributes nearly 80% of the total industry. 80% of the Islamic finance industry is concentrated in the development of Islamic banks. Okay, Islamic capital market is about 20%, and takaful is about 1%. 79% Islamic capital market about 20%, and takaful is about 1%. So where are other sectors? For example, what are other sectors? For example, microfinance, Islamic microfinance. We know that it is expanding, yes, but the development is slow and it is saddled with a lot of issues. Okay, so this data comes from credible resources, references, in particular, this data about 3 main sectors. comes from the IFSB, International Financial Islamic Financial Services Board report. Okay. Now, another issue that we see today is that in the mainstream conventional realm or environment, the stakeholders, especially the policymakers, multilateral agencies like United Nations, World Bank, all are talking about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, and in the context or in the realm of financial services, the issue or the objective of financial inclusion is very important. So I have highlighted the main items here. So you later on, I will share the slide with all of you, and you can read through the details. As we know, the United Nations launched the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals, and these goals should be achieved by 2030. And the most important thing is that in achieving these goals, the deliverables would require financing up to huge amount of financing of US dollar 3 to 4 trillions per year until 2030. Okay, so again, straight away we can think of the role of Islamic finance. Where is the role of Islamic finance, or what is the role of Islamic finance in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals? And according to the World Bank, these efforts to increase financial inclusion has been ongoing and is under the supervision, under the radar, under the consideration, under the observation of the World Bank, so that all countries would achieve this, in particular for the financial inclusion, the target of what we call universal financial access. No more discrimination in terms of financial access. Possibly no more unbankables. All of the society should have equal financial access to financial resources by the year 2030. Is this achievable? So what is the role of Islamic finance? So this is very quickly, all of you know this, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals. And if you go through all the goals, it seems that there are specific role that Islamic finance can play. For example, no poverty, zero hunger, fair education. What do I have here down here? Gender equality, clean water and sanitation, decent work and economic growth. All this, there are specific role that Islamic finance can play. But the question is that why is it still Islamic finance concentrating just on these three areas? Why aren't they not going into this area, or are they actually gradually going into this area? Now we see specifically the state of financial inclusion in the Muslim countries. Data can be outdated, but it is still quite low. Okay, we see the basic indicator of financial inclusion in terms of number of bank accounts in the Muslim country in general is still very low, just 27%. In most of the developed countries, by comparison, it's more than 90%. This is just the basic indicator for financial inclusion. And some of the reasons being quoted for the low financial inclusion in most of the Muslim countries is due to the absence and uneven access to financial services. And also due to unavailability of Sharia compliant products. However, the weird thing is that even when there are Sharia compliant products available, or Islamic banks specifically are available in some countries, only small proportion of the population in these Muslim nations are utilizing the Islamic banking services. People still continue to question how Islamic is Islamic finance. So this question seems to be haunting the industry. I use the word haunting ever since the establishment of the first Islamic bank in the 1970s. How Islamic is Islamic bank? So people continue to question, to pressure the industry. So what is the role of Islamic Bank, therefore, in promoting a financial inclusion agenda? So perhaps these are some of the suggestions. And in fact, the industry, if we make a simple a general observation of the industry, we can see that there are several innovations. We call it innovations. Why we call it innovations? Because it should go beyond the normal or traditional financing based on debt-based instrument. Okay, this includes innovation in the financing mechanism of the Islamic financial institutions. For example, green suku. Okay. These could help to achieve the objective of the SDG towards the clean environment. Okay. Other notable instruments along this area or within the scope of this area will be innovations in sukuk for long-term investment through PPP, public-private initiatives. Leveraging on Islamic financial technology, fintech, okay, Islamic social finance instruments. This is very popular, especially in Wakaf. And now a lot of efforts are being undertaken to integrate Islamic social finance instrument with fintech. So we see Wakaf is being offered based on blockchain technology. So to make it more efficient, to make it more transparent. Okay, we also have zakat instrument, which is operating based on blockchain technology. Okay, so from the moment zakat payers pay the zakat, it can be tracked. The movement of the zakat payment can be tracked. Where does it go? To which industry? What happened now after 2 months, after 3 months, and where is it being distributed? That's to that extent. So integrating social finance with fintech. So you can see, in general, these can be categorized as new areas, SDG and Islamic finance, relating Islamic finance to the 17 goals of the SDG, relating Islamic finance and the environment. I've mentioned just now, green banking. Green banking is a thriving industry now. I mean, research now. Many PhD theses are being written on green banking, how the Islamic banks can offer or can finance green activities in terms of the regulatory environment by the central bank. These are all very important. In terms of the Sharia compliancy of the banking firms' activities, products, as well as the instrument being offered by the Islamic banks. Green suku. We can also relate Islamic finance to the quality of life of the refugees, of the poor, and so on. So these can be in the form of humanitarian suku. It is being done now. Studies are being done, and you can see the development in the knowledge in this area. There can also be Islamic finance and the universal health care services or objective, UHC, I put it. So this is also as part of the effort of Islamic finance to achieve the various 17 sustainable development goals. Just a very simple check in the Google, in Google search. I just Google Islamic finance and SDG. Very interestingly, we see a lot of efforts. From the Islamic finance fraternity to look at how Islamic finance can actually contribute towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so in other words, I would like to retract back to my earlier discussion. Yes, the Islamic finance fraternity, the industry are actually doing something to playing the role to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. So these are some of the article here. Later on, you can check. In fact, an inquiry into Islamic finance from the perspective of SDG, on SDG and the role of Islamic finance, Islamic finance as a tool to realize SDG in Nigeria, Islamic finance and banking on the ESG scores. These are environment, social and governance, ethical investing, and so on. Okay, so later on you can take a look. So therefore, as an extension to that, we see rising importance of Islamic socially responsible investing, SRI for short, and green finance. We see several initiatives on sustainable finance to support the green agenda, the support for the clean environment agenda. For example, in Malaysia, to share with our brothers and sisters in Indonesia, we have launched the Securities Commission from the legal or policy environment in 2014. The SC Malaysia formulated SRI Sukuk framework under which Malaysia issued its first green suku in 2017. There are also, in terms of the regulatory environment, Bursa Malaysia Sustainable Reporting Framework, reporting-wise, and the environmental, social, and governance. Just now I mentioned about ESG. Index, FTSE for good. So these will provide data for further exploration and research at more detailed level by the universities, by the researchers, and give input to the policymakers. Okay. Today, we see that Malaysia is the largest market for sustainable investing in Asia, excluding Japan. And just a bit to highlight regarding the SRI. So later on you can take a look. These are very detailed, mainly in three main areas. And SRI is a concept of making investment decision, not only considering financial returns. All this while we see investment is a profit motivated. But recently we see a lot of many investors do not put profit as the main objective per se. Okay, many investors out there, they are willing to put their hard-earned money into investment that fulfill some of the social impact. Okay, not just profit per se. So as you can see, this data we got from the Global Sustainable Investment Alliance. Yes, data can be quite outdated. They produced annual report, the Global Sustainable Investment Alliance on annual basis. Later on, if you have the interest, you can update the data, but we can see the trend seems to be, consistent, that of total asset managed, investment asset being managed in these countries, an increasing amount has been shifted towards SRI, socially responsible investment. For example, just take in the US, if in 2014, 17.9% of total asset in the SRI, by 2016 already it increased to nearly 22%. Okay, in Japan, 2014, it was zero, negligible, not zero, it's there, but it's negligible, small. In 2016, already 3.4%. And if you look at more recent data, I would I will be very confident that it will reach nearly 10% in Japan. Okay. The situation in Asia, excluding Japan, so these involve countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, it is still very small. So this is another area that we can capture, we meaning Islamic finance can capture, so that Islamic finance can play a meaningful role in supporting the social objective. So you can see over here, even at global basis, global SRI global SRI asset under management could reach 34 to 53 trillion by 2025. That is the expectation. However, within this area, look at the graph here. Most of the interest is on green bond. Okay. Most of the interest of the investors are on green bond, and the yellow graph here shows SRI bond issuance are still very low. So these are a billion difference here. Islamic finance can go into this area. So what are the specific sector that SRI can go into? Natural resources, renewable energy and energy efficiency, community and economic development. This is very interesting, as well as for wakaf properties on assets or assets. So in other words, how do we extend the discussion from this SRI Sukuk framework? For these projects, for example, to develop wakaf properties, it requires certain amount, billion of financing. SRI Sukuk can be issued in order to raise those financing needed to develop wakaf properties like this one, okay, to develop or to support the development of public hospitals, public educational services, community services, urban revitalization, and very interestingly, affordable housing down here. Okay, so you can see that. So, okay, I hope you can see clearly. I'm just putting in one table some sustainable, responsible investment projects. And you can see here the first green bond, which is also fall under the category of SRI, sustainable and responsible investment, was issued in 2008. And then we have Orasis Green Sukuk being issued by legendary, okay, this is difficult for, it's French. So that it is there. It used Musyarakah Ijarah structure for renewable energy sector. Vaccine Sukuk was issued in 2014 for use of vaccine in poor countries. And then perhaps if we continue to face issues with vaccine for COVID, COVID vaccine, maybe the Islamic financial institutions can, be to the front and lead this area, okay? Because the situation has been done before, okay? First, Ringgit Suku Ihsan by the investment arm of the Ministry of Finance Malaysia that was issued in 2015 by Khazanah Malaysia for the purpose of development of the education sector. The Green Tadau Suku to finance a large scale solar project. And also in 2018, the Republic of Indonesia issued the sovereign green sukuk, a very large amount. You can see there, US dollar 1.25 billion for 5 years. In other words, maturing. This sovereign grain sukuk will mature in 2023 with a yield of quite attractive 3.75% yield to finance green projects. So with this development, I think it is only fair to say that the Islamic finance industry is involving in these new areas, innovative products. Okay. So, of course, from the legal or policy environment, it is very important to establish an enabling environment to enable, to allow Islamic finance to reach its potential, and provide effective support for the SDG, to achieve the SDG. So what can the stakeholders do at the country level? A regulatory and supervisory framework need to be strengthened and updated so that it will be more robust and more supporting of the Islamic finance institutions, Islamic finance industry players. At the global level, there is a need to have some sort of standardization of contracts, because the SDG and Islamic finance is a global industry. Okay, so standardization of contracts and Sharia rulings is very important to be looked at, promoting the adoption of the international standard of the AOF and IFSB. Okay. Now, I have mentioned about social finance. Later on, you can take a look of the basic aspect of social finance. We look at the instrument of like zakat, wakaf, qad hasan, sadaqah, and so on, ziswaf. And the more important thing is that how Islamic banks can participate in ziswaf. Have you seen Islamic banks involving in zakat, wakaf, qad hasan? So that will be the question that we pose here. Okay. So in terms of Islamic social finance, so far the research has been more on conceptual theoretical approaches, description of concept, and this I would say has been quite outdated. New areas is that how we can look at the role of Islamic banks in involving in Islamic social finance, like what I have mentioned just now. Okay, so these are new areas. What are the roles of Islamic social finance in various economic sectors? For example, how can wakaf, zakat, Islamic microfinance, qad hasan involved in empowering the agriculture sector, empowering farmers in the agriculture sector? How can wakaf involve in the social sector? Okay, in providing or in developing wakaf properties, wakaf land. As we know that wakaf land, many large proportion of the wakaf land are being undeveloped. So how can Islamic finance, Islamic social finance, crowdfunding can be used to develop the wakaf, the vast wakaf property? So also financing needs for the what we call vulnerable groups just now, for empowerment program. How zakat, wakaf, ziswaf can be used for women economic empowerment, people with disabilities, refugees, the poor, youth. We see now, even with the COVID, what's more with the COVID, large unemployment among the youth, the elderly, in terms of retirement, aging society. In the provision, how Islamic finance can help in terms of the provision of basic needs like affordable housing. So we see Islamic social finance models to support the development of affordable housing. Research in wakaf based affordable housing. How can that be done? Okay. All right. So what is the role of Islamic finance? Maybe we can zoom into further refining Islamic microfinance, okay? Ensuring the depth, the outreach, and the sustainability, as well as empowering the role of non-bank financial institutions like cooperative, Islamic cooperative, okay? How can it support the role of economic activities, real economic activities? That's why we have been focusing very much on Islamic banks. Just now I have highlighted how Islamic banks can actually involve in financing green activities, in financing SDG activities. But at the same time, other segment of Islamic finance should also be developed, like Islamic microfinance and non-bank financial institutions. Okay, in fact, studies being done in 2011, it seems that the microfinance industry is expanding. Okay, and we see that the microfinance industry is more resilient to global economic downturn. Okay, it is also labor intensive, so it can provide job opportunities for those who are willing to participate in the economic situation. In terms of portfolio yield, it is commercially viable, and very interestingly, it has very low default risk compared to bank financing. And we see that 85% of microfinance funds are debt instrument. Okay, and I have mentioned that the role of non-bank financial institutions is very important. It can help to increase the efficiency of the financial sector, so that can help to reduce the dependency of the financing in the economy on the banks, conventional and Islamic banks. It caters also for different risk, return, maturity, liquidity needs. And it also play complementary role to the banking institution, making the financial system more complete, accessible, and inclusive, as well as efficient. So these are just some details which I have provided for your reading pleasure, the difference between banks and microfinance institution. And these are some examples of conventional microfinance institution, where we look at Grameen Bank, Banco Sol in Bolivia, Bank Rakyat Indonesia, and Finca in the Latin American countries. And I would like to highlight there the interest rates on these conventional microfinance are very high, very high. But the unbankables, the poor, they have no choice to go but to go for this conventional microfinance institution. But let me just correct my statement. Do they have choice, or do they have no choice? Actually, they do have a choice. They can get the service of Islamic microfinance institutions. Okay, so you can compare conventional microfinance institution and Islamic microfinance institution, and there can be a lot of difference between conventional microfinance and Islamic microfinance. In many cases throughout the globe, I think it is very popular, Islamic microfinance in Indonesia, like the case of Baitul Mal Wat Tamwil, also Dompet Duafa. There are many other Islamic microfinance in Indonesia. At the global level, they're very popular. We have Akhwat model, which is based on Qard Hasan, no interest charge, and repayment is 100%. So then, it should trigger us in this area of research, what is the risk mitigating technique of Islamic microfinance amid the requirement of physical collateral. Of course, some of the Islamic microfinance institutions require physical collateral as well. So these are some issues. The challenge of Islamic microfinance is in terms of outreach, how to reach okay, all right, how to reach the poor, maybe because of the location issue, and some of the microfinance clients still continue to ask the difference between Islamic microfinance and conventional microfinance, how to persuade them as well as how to persuade the Islamic banks to invest or to participate in Islamic microfinance. That is the issue, rather than continue to provide financing to the same group of people, to the corporates, to the middle income. But what about the low income? These are some issues that we still need to explore and provide recommendations and solutions. Also, another issue is there is no well-developed regulatory framework. In most cases, non-bank financial institutions, including the microfinance institutions, are being under the supervision of certain ministry. And therefore, there seems to be inconsistency in terms of the regulatory framework, in terms of the effectiveness of the supervision is not really there, is questionable. And financial institutions, if it's under the supervision of the central bank, normally this will be more stringent. But if it's under ministry and resources are not being given, focus are not being given towards the development of the regulatory framework of the cooperative, of the microfinance institutions, so there can be a lot of adverse consequences like mismanagement, like moral hazard, slow development, and low sustainability. Sustainability in operation. Some of the microfinance institutions close operation because they are not able to sustain financially and sustainably. This is the one that I have mentioned just now. According to the CGAP survey, you can check, you can do Google search CGAP, that around 70% of Islamic microfinance institution instruments offer murabahah or debt-based product. Okay, there seems to be lack of usage of salam product, muzara'ah product, or these innovative products. It's musyarakah, mudarabah is very low. Okay, mainly the instrument are based on cost plus, So I have highlighted there. Therefore, we want to know how to mitigate risks in Islamic microfinance. I have highlighted the virtues, the importance of incorporating fintech in financial, to promote financial inclusion. Financial technology can provide structured information regarding the poor in terms of the database, in terms of the financial resources collected, in terms of crowdfunding information. Also, P2P crowdfunding is enabled. We see how the cryptocurrency market utilize P2P, peer-to-peer, and this perhaps we can learn from the good practices of the conventional finance, how P2P can be adopted, peer-to-peer can be adopted for crowdfunding purposes. Investors who are willing to invest in potentially good projects of the poor, so that can be done. Also, I have mentioned low cost in low-cost houses, providing low-cost houses, like the case of Ethics crowd, very popular in Indonesia, Ethics crowd, in providing affordable housing. So there can be various ways that digital payments can help to promote financial inclusion through P2P products. Okay, it provides affordable transaction. It provides borderless transaction, global Sadaqah house. Later on, you can check. We also have information from Fintera in Malaysia, a fintech company that involved in microfinance, providing microfinance somewhere else throughout the globe. So all these are happening, and Islamic finance industry are benefiting from fintech development. Okay. So Alhamdulillah, that's the end of my presentation. I am very excited to be able to share my thoughts on current issues in Islamic finance, and I am looking forward for a Q&A. Please feel free to ask questions, and thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. MashaAllah. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Very compelling presentation and insightful speech.
Thank you.
MashaAllah. My friends, my Malay friends used to say, MashaAllah, terbaik.
MashaAllah, terbaik.
No, I really miss UIA since I have been 7 years in Malaysia.
Okay, Brother Aminuddin, yeah? All right, yes.
MashaAllah. And realizing Prof. Bayu profile, so we have here, you graduated with PhD from IUM, and Dr. Bayu graduated with Master from IUM, and me myself with Bachelor degree from IUM. So we have
Alhamdulillah.
UIA.
Very happy to hear that.
So we
Inshallah.
have a UIA alumni reunion.
Virtual reunion, yeah? Inshallah, we are very happy to be able to disseminate knowledge at the global level on Islamic finance, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank
and
you.
I really miss those time in Malay, enjoying nasi lemak and then roti canai with teh tarik, mashallah. It's very beautiful scene.
But now, because of the COVID-19, there is the movement control order. So we cannot, yes, it's just for food for takeaway. Yes.
MashaAllah, yeah. Very sorry to hear that.
Yes. It's okay.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we have some questions, but before that, as being a moderator, I have a privilege to ask you first before the other questions.
All right.
Okay.
Inshallah.
So thank you again. So I have a question here. Prof, as we know that Malaysia recently, while doing my master, I have the privilege and then contribution, to know that Malaysia developed the VBI, value-based intermediation. So is it, we really need to focus or to join what the mainstream in European mainstream, they have the ESG standard, they have the SRI, which is developed by perhaps GABV and then MSCI standard and a lot of standard from the Western countries. As we know that Islamic finance is based the principle on Islamic economics, which is perhaps the value of the Western countries might not be in line with our values, Islamic values. So do we need to create our own standard, or do we just eliminate their standard and exclude what is not aligned with our principle or Islamic principles? Thank you, Prof. So that's the first question. You want all questions to?
I think it will be good for me to address each question.
Okay, each question.
So that I can go very fast, and then the rest can also have the opportunity to ask. Very beautiful question, Brother Aminuddin. Beautiful question. Why? Because the VBI, the value-based intermediation, has been launched in Malaysia for the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall it correctly. And there is the value-based intermediation strategy. I think the book or the document is readily available on the internet. This is issued by Bank Negara Malaysia. And if you are able to later on go through it in detail, you'll see that the essence of the VBI is actually highlighting how the Islamic banks, so this is truly coming up from the critics coming from the industry as to what is the role of Islamic banks in particular in addressing the social issues. Or let me put it another way, how can the Islamic banks participate in improving, in alleviating some social issues? Because we see that the Islamic banks thus far in the previous years have been focusing more on the bankable projects.
Right.
And in a way competing, I would say competing head on with the conventional banks. The conventional banks are going into this sector, the Islamic banks are also going into the same sector.
Exactly.
But with the VBI, the strategies being included or being suggested is that the Islamic banks should go into the social area. For example, it is being mentioned in the VBI document that Bank Islam has participated in offering affordable housing for the asnaf. Okay, how can the Bank Islam participate in providing houses for the asnaf? Okay, as we all know that the normal or the conventional, the traditional financing mode is that a customer who is able and willing to pay the monthly installment will get financing from Bank Islam. But in this case, the asnaf, they are not able, they are not willing. In fact, they are unbankable. But Bank Islam are able to do that by together participating with the State Religious Council and provide affordable housing to the asnaf. Okay, the specific mechanism we need to do a bit of research, but this is happening through the VBI initiative. Some Islamic banks are providing wakaf, cash wakaf, are collecting cash wakaf. For example, the Bank Muamalat Malaysia, BMMB, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, involved in wakaf project is under the tagline of Esok Masih Ada. Okay, so they collect cash wakaf from their existing depositors and use this wakaf fund into the health sector and education sector. Okay, so I don't see much of contradiction with the VBI, any VBI initiative or ESG initiative in the Western countries. What matters here is that we want to expedite and we want to provide supportive environment for the Islamic banks to participate in the social sector. So that's why I say the question is beautiful, because it fits well into the irony that I have highlighted just now, into the issues that we have highlighted just now. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, really answered. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
And now we move to the next question. There is a question from Rika Septiani.
Okay.
So she wants to ask you about how we improve the Sharia products and convince the people, the general people, that Sharia products have more profitable rather than the commercial products. Because as we know that the general society already converted or they feel comfortable with the commercial or with the conventional product that they have before. And there is a critique recently from one of the public figure or ustad in Indonesia that he said that Sharia product is more expensive or it's, So what is your purpose on what your Islamic bank should do with this situation? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think this question about Islamic product is more expensive. Two things. Yeah, I want to highlight. One, more expensive, and on the other side, lower return, less profitable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, in terms of more expensive, these critiques have been forwarded since the beginning. Since the beginning of the operation of the Islamic banks in Malaysia and all over the world. Okay, people out there are comparing, for example, specifically, Islamic home financing and conventional home financing. Okay, but if you look at the actual case, the Islamic home financing is actually just as fairly priced as if you say that the conventional home financing is fairly priced. It is just fairly priced as the conventional home financing. But the thing is that the nature, the structure of Islamic home financing is that the price to be transacted would have to be made clear and spelled out in the akad, akad jual beli.
Exactly.
So you need to know what is the actual price. But for the conventional home loan, they just mentioned that, okay, this is your amount of loan, and this is the interest rate that you have to pay. Okay, so they never mentioned about in total towards the end how much you have to pay. They just say that this rate over the years. So from the perspective of the customer. Of course the customer will say that, oh, this one total I have to pay is this much for Islamic home financing, but for conventional home loan I have to pay just certain percentage until the next 30 years. But if you actually do the actual calculation, not only that the pricing is about the same, and or it could be even more expensive when crisis hit, when interest rate change. But in the conventional, in the Islamic, you already know how much you have to pay, and it is fixed until the end of the repayment period. Now that is on the more expensive. On the more profitable, just to share with you, in the context of Malaysia, perhaps by giving this example, it's clear, inshallah. The Employee Provident Fund, as you know, this is $1 trillion fund being managed, Employee Provident Fund. In Malaysia, it is being managed by the EPF, Employee Provident Fund. So what happened is that it is relatively recent. I think sometime 2017 that the Employee Provident Fund provide kepada pencarum, like me. I'm working every month. By law, I have to contribute certain portion of my salary to the Employee Provident Fund, or kumpulan wang simpanan pekerja.
Yeah.
So what happened is that only in 2017 that there is this Islamic or Sharia compliant investment, saving or investment in KWSP, in EPF. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So in general, because this is a big fund, so we see that comparison is better. Okay, whereby we see that return is actually not that different. So we take this as a reliable benchmark because it is a large fund, and at the same time, yes, I think it's only fair for me to say that in terms of the actual return, if the conventional is say 5.2%, 5.3%, the Islamic or the Sharia is 5.2%. And also for us Muslim, this 5.2%, even though it is lesser, it has already been paid zakat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, we as Muslim, Of course, our time dimension is not just profit here, okay? Profit in this life. Our profit is also profit in the hereafter. And this Islamic investment gives us a peace of mind, okay? And also I want to share in another regard, I want to share with you that the context of Islamic unit trust. And I think there shouldn't be much question about it. That we see that over the years, and especially during crisis time, like in the context of the pandemic now, we see that the return on Islamic unit trust is better than the conventional unit trust. So whoever is able to show me otherwise, please do. Okay, so not to to boast or to what, but I would think that in most cases, claims that Islamic investment will give lesser return need to be substantiated with evidence. Because this is the easiest way for people to criticize Islamic finance, Islamic investment. But when it comes to real data, show us the data. Okay, then we can talk. That's all from me. Thank you.
Inshallah, thank you very much, Prof. Yeah. As a Muslim, I realize that we need to think differently about our future.
Time dimension,
Yeah, exactly. And our future is not only this world, but the akhirat is our future. Mashallah, thank you for reminding us about that.
I'm reminding myself.
Yeah, Mashallah, thank you. Yes. Let's move to the next question. Now the question is more to Islamic social finance, which is related to zakat. This question is from Arova Bakhtiar. So he said that regarding zakat potential and microfinancing distribution. So he thinks that in 2020, the amount of zakat is bigger than the microfinancing distribution, but yet zakat cannot solve the economic problem. So what is your suggestion for the philanthropy organizations about perhaps the allocation of zakat fund or distribution of zakat fund, and then all the other things that might help the economic problem of the nation or the Muslim world?
Right. I think I will go try to answer very fast. The issue of zakat and Islamic microfinance has been a subject of wide research. In fact, I think in Indonesia, Basnas have done a very good job in terms of zakat collection as well as zakat distribution. One thing about zakat for Islamic microfinance is that we all have to be aware that the use of zakat has been clearly specified. For the 8 asnaf. Okay, so when the question says that why is it that collection is this much but distribution for microfinance is not that much, then you have to ensure that the constraint in terms of distribution, priority must be given to the 8 asnaf. And therefore, in the context of Indonesia, I've attended many talks. I've listened to many research, deliberation that the zakat can actually, in Indonesia, is being divided into 2 types. One is consumptive zakat, and another one is productive zakat. Okay, and so the amount for productive zakat, based on my observation, is being distributed accordingly. So similar situation is also happening in Malaysia, whereby not all of the zakat payment is being distributed to the 8 asnafs. For consumptive purpose, but it is also distributed for productive, for economic empowerment purpose, so that the zakat receiver later on can be economically empowered and become a zakat payer. Okay, so to be fair to the situation, it is actually happening, and in fact, one of the sources of fund sources for BMT includes zakat as well. So Ziswaf. It is playing its role. Islamic social finance is playing the role, but more, I agree, more need to be done. More need to be done.
All right.
I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. So let's move from zakat to wakaf. And now we have the question from wakaf, and the last question for you, inshallah, for today.
Okay.
So recently we know that this is the question from Setiawan. We know that recently Indonesia is developing cash wakaf as funding for the socio-economic sector, such as they call it, they have the pesantren economy to develop the micro finance and then the economy of the pesantren. And then, so the question here is what needs to be strengthened to ensure the increase of the multiplier effect on the economic growth using the cash wakaf?
Yeah, beautiful question also. I like that question. And at the moment, we also try to further refine the model of pesantren economy. Okay, and we look at, I think the basic you can refer to is the Gontor model. I've been there several times, and also our ICIEIFIL, our ASEAN Islamic Finance Conference was held 2 years before there. So we learned a lot from the Indonesian experience in this case, and learning from each other is very healthy. And once we learn from each other, then we try to further refine it, and that will be good for the industry as a whole. Now, based on the Gontor model, yes, cash wakaf can be a major source of financial, sources. One of the major financial sources to support the operation of the. In Malaysia, we have many tahfiz. And this also blends well with the undeveloped wakaf land. And until now, apart from cash wakaf, those wakif, in most cases, they want to contribute for tahfiz of pesantren. Okay, let it be their cash or even their land. So efforts should be done to address this issue, okay, whereby if a good mechanism can be devised, the financial as well as physical resources from wakaf for the pesantren can be efficiently utilized so that the pesantren can be self-sustaining.
Yeah,
okay. How they can be self-sustaining? Well, one idea, perhaps they can undertake, economic group, economic empowerment projects at the pesantren. As you know, in Gontor, they go for, several economic activities, like they produce their own, drinking water. They produce their own, they develop their printing companies. And in Malaysia, many of the tahfiz schools now have started to have their own edible gardens, so that, the need for vegetable on daily basis can be supplied from their own farming. We also have the idea of, using the wakaf land, where if the wakaf land is being given away for the development of pesantren or tahfiz, then in that area, maybe the stingless bee activity can be undertaken. Stingless bee itu madu kelulut. The industry of madu kelulut can be activity farming. Madu kelulut farming, stingless bee farming can be undertaken. And that will create generation of revenue, of income for the pesantren. And in fact, if the stingless bee, farming can be developed at a larger scale, then other multiplier. You mentioned about multiplier effect.
Yeah.
The homestay, activity can be undertaken. Agro tourism can be undertaken. A lot of things can be undertaken. What we need is just to focus on the issue and extend it well. The foundation is there, the example is there, but we can work together to further develop this. I am very positive. Thank you for the question. I'm very excited. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Now we realize that we need to explore more about wakaf since it has a huge potential to boost the economic performance.
Agree.
Thank you very much. Let me recap your session. So you have remind us about the discriminated, about the youth and women, and also the rural and the poor people. And also you have spoken about the role of the Islamic finance and how's the innovation that we can go with the Islamic financial industry from the sukuk, and how we cooperate with the SDG, green sukuk, humanitarian sukuk, and other things. Not forget the Islamic social finance. Thank you very much, Prof. Salina Kasin, and hope to see you again in the future. And for those who want to listen more, come to IUM.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Perhaps from the students or from the participants want to pursue their master or their PhD in IUM. And we hope we really hope that we have this partnership between the Muhammadiyah Surakarta and the IUM Islamic Banking and Finance, since we already have the partnership with the law department, since we have Prof. Sony Zulhuda there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so we hope that we have the partnership with this IABF in the future.
Inshallah, I'm looking forward to that. I would like to thank the organizer, Bapak Dr. Azhar, especially for contacting me and inviting me. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to meet all of you. May Allah protect us all. Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much,
Prof. Salina.
Prof. Salina, before you leave, because we know that you're so busy, so we would like to take a picture.
Yes, please.
Picture, yeah.
Okay, so I will stop sharing.
Yeah, then we can take a picture together. Okay, the committee. Okay, let me count. 1, 2, and 3. Please, the participants who do not yet turn on their camera, please turn on, please. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. And have a nice day. And I hope stay healthy and stay blessed, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we move to our second plenary session, which will be delivered by Dr. Bayu Arifianto of University of Airlangga. Before we jump to the next plenary session, let me introduce our second speaker, which is Assistant Professor Dr. Bayu Arifianto. So, Assistant Professor Dr. Bayu Arifianto holds a bachelor degree from Brawijaya University, Malang, and then master from the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and PhD from Lincoln University, New Zealand. Dr. Bayu has published a number of academic papers in index peer-reviewed journal. He is continuously contributing to the development of Islamic economic and finance within the academia and industry. His research interests includes various topics on Islamic banking, Islamic microfinance, and Islamic economics and finance. Assistant Professor Dr. Bayu Arivianto is currently Head of Islamic Economic Study Program at the University of Erlangga. Dr. Bayu, please welcome Dr. Bayu Arivianto.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Aminuddin Ma'ruf, for your kind introduction. Respected Dean, respected Head of Sharia Economic Department, and also my respected teacher and lecturer, Prof. Salina Kasim, and all audience and participants. It is an honor for me to be invited as one of keynote speaker in this conference from Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta. The conference, International Conference on Islamic Economics, Islamic Finance, and Islamic Law. So it is a very good conference in order to share all knowledge and insight, experience, maybe research from all participants, and also from us to share as well our maybe current research or knowledge and experience. So let me share my screen. So in this occasion, I would like to present about current research in Islamic banking and finance. And I think some of the part from my presentation parallel with the presentation of Professor Salina Kasim. So like this first slide, that the global Islamic finance has undergone a significant growth over the past 4 decades, and the total asset expected to reach more than $3 trillion in 2023. And the development of Islamic financial institution also encouraged academics to conduct research on the existence and development of Islamic banking and finance. So in this occasion, I would like to highlight some papers that have been published since 1983 until 2020. So the growth of Islamic banking literature has increased, and the papers around 2,784 documents that have been indexed by Scopus. So the development of research related to Islamic finance, including Islamic stock market, Islamic bank, Islamic microfinance, has been increased significantly in recent years. So I would like to present my 3 projects. So my working papers that I'm doing with my students, especially with my master students and my PhD students. So I would like to cover 3 main areas: Islamic bank, Islamic stock market, and Islamic microfinance. So these 3 popular areas that have been mentioned by Prof. Salina Kasim take more attention because the industry already there, and the scholars, academics try to do the research on this industry, especially for Islamic bank. We did a research from 2009 till 2020, and we take around 156 papers that only index in A or A star journal based on ABDC journalists. So we did not follow the Indonesian benchmark that using Scopus Q1, Q2, Q3 until Q4, but we use the ABDC as based on previous study. This one is quite popular to identify high quality paper. So we have 156 papers from 2009 to 2020 for the Islamic bank. And for the Islamic stock market, we have 1979 until 2020, and papers that indexed by Scopus around 452 papers. And we only also focus on ABDC, which is only we only have 98 papers that have been indexed in A or A star journal. So A or A star journals such as paper that published in Journal of Finance, Journal of Banking and Finance, Pacific Basin Finance, Economic Modeling, etc. And we also have Islamic microfinance from 2008 till 2020. We took papers that have been indexed by Scopus since limited paper that focus on Islamic microfinance. And we have 67 papers. But if we try to use the ABDC journal rank list in order to screen the paper, we only get around 40 something or less than 40. So it is very limited area for study, especially in high rank journal. So for those that want to focus on the next research, you can focus on Islamic microfinance, but make sure that we can publish in the good or high quality journal. But of course, the ABDC list is not the only benchmark. We also have responsibility to publish in Islamic journal like Islamic Middle Eastern or Islamic marketing in order to support the Islamic journal. But the ABDC list, the ABDC journals, of course, they have a very high and good peer review quality. So some journals like Journal of Banking and Finance, it could take more than 2 years only for reviewing our papers, or more than 2 years. So we can see that the competition in order to publish in the high rank journal A or A star. Moreover, with publication in high quality journal, will increase the opportunity for us to have more impact, and to have more readers and audience, and it's become part of our da'wah, or part of our responsibility in order to spread the knowledge, spread the topic of Islamic bank, Islamic capital market, Islamic microfinance to all readers and audience, Muslim or non-Muslim. Okay, I will start with my first paper, working paper, current research in Islamic banking. So in Islamic banking area, this one is very popular topic in research, and big themes from 2009 to 2020 is like risk and regulation in Islamic bank. Risk and regulation Islamic bank include the Sharia compliance governance, risk averse banking prudential regulation, monetary policy for Islamic bank, comparison and evaluation of performance. So this kind of subtopic that includes in the first topic, risk and regulation of Islamic banking. So we identify from 154 papers, especially in A and A stars, and that kinds of topic that mostly done by the authors. And it is important to have some literature study from the previous study in order to have a great picture, a big picture of what have done in this Islamic banking area. Second popular topic is about the stability of Islamic and conventional bank. So some subtopic about the political risk, risk of Basel Accord, asset quality, stability and efficiency, performance and stability. So this kind of subtopic that usually focused by the authors. The third topic is about the corporate governance about the Sharia compliance, financial reporting, financial value to management. These subtopics are also popular in the corporate governance of Islamic bank. Fourth topic is about the paradigm of Islamic banking, theory and practice. And the final topic is about efficiency of Islamic bank, which is some of the authors focus on the profit efficiency, revenue efficiency, and cost efficiency of Islamic bank. So hopefully we can publish soon our working papers in the area of bibliometric and study systematic literature review of Islamic Bank from 2009 to 2020. And next, the most cited article in Islamic Bank. So I think this one is parallel with the one that mentioned by Prof. Salina Kasim. So some popular article papers that cited by many authors are like Islamic banking, interest-free or interest-based, how Islamic is Islamic banking. So some kind of paper that still question, still question the operation of Islamic bank. So this one is very popular. This one, Chong and Liu, is published in Pacific Basin Finance 2009 and cited around 322 times, and Khan as well. I think this one is research in international business, the journal, and Beck et al. This one is, if I'm not mistaken, in Journal of Banking and Finance. So Islamic versus conventional banking, business model, efficiency and stability. So this kind of paper receive many attention from the audience or from the scholars. So based on this study, we know that paper that focus on stability and questioning Islamic bank is quite popular. Next, I would like to jump to the current research in Islamic stock market. So these are the popular topic in Islamic stock market between 1979 to 2020. So actually we have collected around 425 papers that have been indexed by Scopus, but we filtered again to 98 papers that have been indexed in A or A star by ABDC. So we only focus on 98 articles. So some topic like the linkage between Islamic and conventional market, this one is quite popular. So the transmission from the conventional to Islamic, whether any impact or not. So that's also quite popular topic in the Islamic stock market. Another thing is Islamic stock performance in Ramadan, Islamic stock performance in crucial time for Muslim, Islamic performance for specific sector. So this one is also popular topic in Islamic stock market. And also we have Islamic screening and standard criterion. And this one is also popular since we have different screening method in Indonesia, Malaysia, or any other Muslim countries. So the study that comparing the method, the study that comparing the criterions is also part of the popular topic in Islamic stock market. And we also have topic that discuss about the correlation between Islamic stock market and macroeconomic variables. So such paper that focus on oil price, gold price, other commodities, this one is quite popular. So paper that want to know the correlation between the Islamic stock market and the commodities, and also maybe to determine which one to become the safe haven for the investors. So most of the papers in the Islamic stock market focus on the investor perspective, or in the linkage, or in the screening, the characteristic of Islamic stock and the Islamic stock performance. And this is the most cited articles in the field of Islamic stock market, but this one is not only on paper that index A or A star, since the limited paper that index in A and A star. So we have Hayat and Crousel, this one published in International Journal of Islamic Middle Eastern, which is rank B, rank B in ABDC list. And we also have Abdullah et al. and Derrick's. This one about risk and return characteristics of Islamic Equity Fund, investigation of performance of Malaysian Islamic Unit Trust Fund, and review analysis of current Sharia compliant equity screening practice. So this kind of paper that include in Islamic capital market that have received the highest citation among any other papers. So we can also learn that most paper focus on the return and performance, and then the screening process. Next is the current research in Islamic microfinance. So this topic is also popular, but not many paper that index in Scopus. Yeah, we only have around 67 that index in Scopus, and if we filter using the A and A star, we only get around less than 40 papers. So some popular topic of research in Islamic microfinance, of course, focus on poverty, development, poverty, product development and cost, Sharia compliance, serving quality, risk comparison, role of women, and efficiency. But some paper also discuss about Akwat, the one that mentioned by Prof. Salina Kasim, and impact assessment, accessibility of Islamic microfinance institution, and actually still many opportunity for us to focus on Islamic microfinance and to create or to publish a good quality paper. So some paper like by Widiarto, this one about efficiency, and Rahim about poverty alleviation. So most of the paper focus on poverty alleviation, how the Islamic microfinance become the vehicle in order to alleviate poverty, especially in developing countries or in Muslim majority countries. Some paper also focus on the accessibility of Islamic microfinance, whether this institution become the alternative to reach the financial inclusion. And some paper discuss about the integration of any other social finance instrument, Islamic social finance instruments such as wakaf and zakah that have been mentioned by Prof. Salina as well. Paper that receive good attention from the audience readers, we can see over here, Widiarto. This one not indexed in A or A star journal because we only focus on Scopus for this project. So this paper received 44 citation and focus on efficiency of Islamic microfinance institution using data and development analysis. And Elkomi Crosson, this one experiments in Islamic microfinance. Rahman et al. Rahman, this one about ethical alternative to poverty alleviation. This one, the author focus on Akwat in Pakistan. So most of the papers in Islamic microfinance using the primary data or field data using questionnaire to interview respondents. But some paper also use the secondary data from MIX, yeah. But that's one I'm not sure that the Islamic microfinance database is already settled, yeah. So we can again construct a database for Islamic microfinance in order to have a rich study on Islamic microfinance, because this Islamic microfinance is diverse from the formal financial institutions such as bank. Of course, the Islamic bank will receive supervision, tight supervision, and many regulation from the central bank, or in Indonesia, Financial Service Authority. But in terms of Islamic microfinance, it is still have higher flexibility than Islamic bank because they don't have a tight regulation. So we also have a very limited database. Yeah, even in Indonesia. Yeah, Indonesia is a country that have many Islamic microfinance institutions. We have BMT. Yeah, we also have microfinance under OJK, microfinance under the Ministry of Cooperative, but somehow our database is not really good enough to support the study on Islamic microfinance. So it is a good recommendation for us to construct a database that probably easier for next or for others researcher to conduct research in Islamic microfinance. So what we learned from the three project that we are working at. So direction for the future research for Islamic bank, it is parallel with the Prof. Salina Kasim that we need more study of technology development in Islamic bank, maybe digital banking, or maybe we study on Islamic fintech and Islamic bank, and maybe we can conduct study on digital native, millennials for using Islamic bank. So this kind of topics that need to conduct in the future. For Islamic stock market, we need more paper that focus on screening methodology and comparison between screening methodology, because most of the paper still focus on the return, performance, and relationship. But it is quite dilemma. It is quite dilemma. Of course, the papers that still limited, it is the recommendation for future research, but that's area, the recommendation for future research might be not popular. So our papers will have lower opportunity to cite it by others authors or researcher. But we need to give direction for future research, what area that still limited study by the current authors or current researchers, in order to have more holistic view on Islamic bank, Islamic stock market, and Islamic microfinance. Another thing in Islamic stock market is research on sectoral level. So we need also research or study on sectoral level, because in the current studies, most of the papers discuss or use data from index. So index, general index from ISSI, GII, Malaysian index. But very few papers that focus on sectoral level, such as like finance sector, then consumer goods sector. So we need more papers that focus on sectoral level to know which sector can give more return to investors, or which sector that may be quite volatile. Is it similar with conventional sector or not? So some paper already focus on the sectoral level, but of course it took several time to construct the database. And the weaknesses of researcher in Indonesia, we only have limited access to database. I think not many campus that have subscribed for database such as a Bloomberg or Thomson Reuters or any global database that can give data for us to do the research. So the research, especially in the stock market, require submission or subscription to a good database. In the other country, maybe in Australia, most of the campus, they have a good database. Even when I did my fellow in Australia, they also have the data of gold price, from the year of 1200, 1200 till now, daily data. And also they have data of rupiah, the currency, from before the independence, before the name of rupiah. So you can imagine that if we don't have database, it is difficult to compete with the good university in order to publish in a good journal. Because most of the good journal in the area of capital market or stock market, it is required to have cross-country studies or time series data, or panel data if we are using sectoral level. So the Islamic capital market require a good database in order to publish in a good journal. Direction for future research, especially for Islamic microfinance, is the need for studying in the supply side, from the institution side, because most of the paper study from the demand side, from the customer's perspective, the impact on customers, the impact on client, the impact on accessibility of client. So very few study that focus on the institution side. So some study focus on which method that have a better impact on customers or client. Let's say mudoroba or murobaha, But very few study that focus on supply side, the institution side, Whether mudoroba or muroba that will have a higher risk for them, or which one that have a good profit for them. So we need study on institution side, not only focus on efficiency or profitability of Islamic microfinance, but we can also look at the scheme or mechanism that can give more impact or good profitability for Islamic microfinance institution. Different with the Islamic stock market, the Islamic microfinance require in Indonesia especially primary data, because we know that it is the institution, the organization is not strong enough, and the regulation still not that developed comparing to Islamic bank. So we need more primary study, empirical study on Islamic microfinance. But of course, the weakness of primary data, sometimes it is costly, and takes more time to conduct, and we only capture a limited area of Islamic microfinance institution in Indonesia, and it will result on we cannot generalize, the results of our study. But the primary data still become a point of interest of any reviewer, since the beauty of primary data is we can portray, we can get a first-hand data from the customers or respondents. But of course, it will require several techniques in order to minimize the bias issue from the primary data. So these are the direction for future research, some direction for future research from three areas: Islamic bank, Islamic stock market, and Islamic microfinance institution. So this one is the research in Islamic banking and finance. If we look at this picture, in Islamic microfinance, there are some area that also part of Islamic bank, part of Islamic stock market, yeah, such as funding and financing from Islamic microfinance and Islamic bank, Islamic stock market and Islamic bank. We also have here is investment. And for the three area, we have here the Islamic compliance. So the study of Islamic compliance, we found from the three area, from Islamic microfinance, Islamic stock market, and Islamic bank. So this can give us a guidance, what area that we can focus on the next research. Okay, on top of that three area, we also conduct another working paper, yeah, focusing on COVID-19 and stock market. Based on our early result, we found that the study on COVID-19 and stock market mainly focus on January 2020 and until July 2020. So it is very limited to have paper from July 2020 onwards. Perhaps still in the review process, yeah. But we can see over here that the numbers of papers decline. So it is give us the insight and give us information about the opportunity to conducting research on COVID-19 and stock market after July 2020. As we can also put the second wave, we can also focus on the maybe new virus, the mutation of virus, and some study also related or some study also discuss the pandemic before COVID-19. We can see over here 2008 and 2009. Some study also linked with the global financial crisis or any other pandemic. Yeah. So this is also received small attention from the authors. So most of the authors publish about COVID-19 in the beginning of the pandemic. So some topics that discuss about COVID-19 and stock market focus on forecasting, market behavior, corporate moves, stock returns, culture and COVID-19, COVID news and media, spillover, connection between the market, government reaction, and safe haven after the or during the pandemics. So this kind of topic we found from the around more than 100 papers, yeah, especially published from March 2020 till now. So we found these several subtopics about the COVID-19 and stock market. So this gives us an idea, yeah, we can study on culture and COVID, maybe in Indonesia, maybe in India, yeah. We discuss about maybe the Islamic culture, maybe with Indian culture, yeah, and about the market behavior, the investor behavior, government reaction, especially in the stock market, yeah, COVID news and media, spillovers, and what kind of safe haven during the pandemic, yeah, and forecasting, yeah, forecasting we forecast the future results. Maybe which sectors that gain much, which sector that lost much, yeah. We can also study on that area. But this one's still in the preliminary stage of our study, but we focus on COVID-19 and stock market. So I think that's one from my side. So why I share this to all of you, since this conference, we will have maybe many papers, yeah, from all the presenters, and the area of course will cover the Islamic bank, Islamic stock market, and Islamic microfinance, maybe about COVID as well. So the study of previous literatures is very important in order for us to know, yeah, whether our topic is already published or not by others authors, because most of Indonesians, sometimes we have limitation of studying or collecting good paper, good article. Then we come up with the conclusion that this one is first paper to study. Yeah, a strong statement. Yeah, we come up with a strong statement in our article. We stated that this one is the first study that focus on blah blah blah. Yeah. In the view of reviewer and editor, of course, it is a strong statement for them, and they will check whether our study is very robust or not. Yeah. So if our study is not robust enough comparing to our statement, then definitely we will get rejection. Yeah, we will get rejection from the journal. I think that's all from me. Hope it's benefit all of you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Question and answer.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Bayu Arifianto, for your remarkable presentation. And yes, if I can recap so many things that you have shared with us about the publication and how's the academic life, and then how's to do the good research and publicable one. So just to let you know, just to let all the participants know that Dr. Bayu actually has very, even though he is a young researcher, but yet really productive. Just to let you know, I think in last year, 2020, he has published around 7 articles in Scopus Journal, if I'm not mistaken. And then if you want to know more about Dr. Bayu research, and you want to know about how he conduct the research and how to get the gap of the study, he share all his opinions in his YouTube account. So you can please feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to like and comment. Dr. Bayu.
Thank you. But this is not sponsored. Yeah. Thank you.
This is not in the script.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bayu. So here we'll jump to the next question and answer. So as a moderator, I have a privilege to ask a question before the other questions. So I want to ask you 2 questions, apparently. The first one, as we live in the academia life and we are in the campus life in Indonesia, that you mentioned about the lack of data. So what do you suggest, even you compare with Australia, and even though if we compare with Malaysia, perhaps our neighbor country, we are still far behind in terms of getting the data or data accessibility in the university. So what's for me here, what's your purpose for research in Islamic finance in Indonesia with the data availability that we have? And the second one, there is the opinion between mismatch between the research and the application or the reality in the Islamic finance industry. So what's your comment on that statement?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aminuddin, for your question. I think this one is very important question, especially on database. We know that not all Indonesian campuses have subscribed for a good database. Comparing to Malaysia maybe or Australia, we know that at the IUM, we can also access the quite good database. In Australia, most of the university also they have subscribed to a good database, and of course the cost for this database is quite expensive. Yeah, for example, one terminal of Bloomberg, it can cost $100,000 per year, so only for one terminal. And the answer is how we can solve this issue. Of course, if our campus or university rich enough to subscribe to this database, I think it is a good investment. Yeah, but the next problem is how to utilize this database. So make sure that we have good resources, human resources, in order to extract this database and how to use in our research. So first, of course, we subscribe if we have enough fund or money. Second, we can collaborate. We can collaborate with overseas, professor from overseas, or with our partner, or maybe for PhD or master students, you can create a group and then visit Malaysia or Australia in order to get the database. Of course, we need to have a network, before we visit the specific country. So please ask your lecturer or professor whether they have network in order to have permission to visit Malaysia or Australia or any other countries, then to extract database from their uni. Because you need to become a member or eligible to extract those specific database. So the second one is collaboration, and we can also, the third one, if we receive a grant, if we receive grant from the government or from the university, we can offer to our partner, if they have a database, we can offer that we receive grant, and we can have a collaboration, co-author paper, but I need your help to support with your database. So those kind of ways in order to get access to the database. And the second question about, what's the second question about?
The second question is, there is a comment on our research on Islamic finance. So some people say there is mismatch between.
Okay. Of course, the academic research is not easily to implement.
Exactly.
Maybe the academic research can be implemented after 5 years, after 3 years, or after 10 years, or maybe cannot be implemented at all. So in order to match with the industry, we need to work with them. So sometimes the publication is not academic publication, but report. So maybe if we receive grant from OJK, Financial Service Authority, they only require us to publish a report, policy recommendation based on our study, so not academic journal. And maybe if we work with the central bank, they also require the report and policy recommendation, not necessarily need to publish in the academic journal. So in order to reduce the gap between industry and academia, we need to work with the policymaker, we need to work with the government, with the industry, not only central bank and OJK in Indonesia. Maybe we can work with World Bank as well, with IDB, with the commercial bank. If they have a fund for research, R&D, we can work with them, and we can produce report that can easily implement, or the period is shorter than academic journal. The period is shorter than academic journal. So the study can be specific, probably about the millennial behaviors on financial technology, or maybe they want to implement the deposit guarantee scheme for the microfinance. So they need study from the academics, and most of the time they will contact us as academic in order to help them to conduct an academic study, but the target is not academic journal, but the target is policy. The target is policy. To support their policy, to support their regulation, they need academic study. They need study from the academia. So I think that's one of the way in order to reduce the gap and mismatch between the university and industry. So we are not only focused on academic journal, but we need to work with them in order to help them to have or to implement a new policy. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for your answer. And we we move to the next question. This is the question from Ade R. Setiawan. The development of Islamic finance and banking in Indonesia is almost always slower and lower than conventional conventional finance and banking. So even though the Islamic financial sector is more resilient, what can be strengthened to increase market share? As we know, the market share of Indonesia is very low, and the transaction, are existing regulations sufficient to provide investment attractiveness of Islamic investment? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think all of us know that the development of Islamic bank in Indonesia, we use a bottom-up mechanism. Yeah, so not from the government. Unlike Malaysia, since 1983, the government really support the Islamic banking and finance industry. But in Indonesia, started with the community, with some ulama, Islamic scholars, yeah. Then the government support the idea. But right now, I think the government of Indonesia has been focused on the development of Islamic banking and finance as well. Yeah, as we know, recently the government merged the three big state-owned commercial bank, yeah, BRI, BSM, and BNI, to become BSI. Yeah, and we know that the government also determined the halal destination, and the government also support the cash wakaf. Yeah. Since maybe we also have a vice president that coming from the Islamic scholars. So hopefully in the future, the market share of Islamic bank or Islamic finance will increase. Yeah, of course, it takes time, but the government also develop a specific institution, Komite Nasional Ekonomi dan Keuangan Syariah, in order to create a blueprint. Yeah. Create a blueprint of Islamic finance development in Indonesia. So yeah, we are optimists to have a brighter future of Islamic finance in Indonesia, since now the government supporting this industry, so top down, yeah, from the government. Yeah. And also the Hajj fund must be managed by Islamic bank. Of course, this one is a good move from the government in order to increase the asset of Islamic bank. Yeah, so I think this one is a good sign for us, and of course we need to support with all action that we can. Maybe opening our account in Islamic bank, investing in Islamic stock market. Then we also support the Islamic microfinance, social finance. We are paying zakat through the institution. We are paying, or we are contribute through the cash wakaf. So we start with ourselves in order to have contribution to the development of Islamic finance in Indonesia. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for your answer. And then, okay, we proceed to the next question. There is a question from a friend of mine, Afif El Asfahani, asking about the lack of data. So he proposing the cooperation between among the university, or utilizing wakaf funds to provide the database for the university in Indonesia. What do you think about this?
Yes, I saw from the chat room also the quantitative database is quite pricey. Yeah, of course it is costly. Like I mentioned, the one terminal can cost $100,000 for Bloomberg. Yes, we can create. It is a good idea, yeah, to have wakaf on database. Yeah, exactly. But make sure that we can. Utilize it and eligible to use the wakaf fund for database. But it is a good idea, especially because we don't have a good database for Islamic finance industry. So maybe with this idea, we can start to collect data and can create database for the Islamic microfinance, wakaf, zakah, or Islamic bank from the Islamic scholars. Yeah. not from the conventional research institution, because at the moment, most of the time we download it from the conventional research or conventional institution that provide database for Islamic finance as well. So we can create our own database, but make sure that our database is really valid and reliable to support the research on Islamic finance. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. And now we jump to the last but not least question relating about the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know that all countries are experiencing a COVID-19 pandemic and affected. And then what are your suggestions so that Indonesia can rise from COVID and especially in Islamic economic sector? And which country can we make as an example of that?
Okay, it's quite a difficult question, yeah. So I think this one is more proper to address to the government. But of course, from the Islamic finance perspective, we must use the Islamic social finance in order to help people facing problems with the COVID-19. Yeah, we have many Islamic social finance instruments such as wakaf, zakah, sadaqat, and microfinance in order to help the small and medium enterprise or people that maybe lose their job during this pandemic. Yeah. And for countries that we can follow, some countries, I think they are very good in managing this pandemic, such as New Zealand. Also, they don't have cases anymore now in New Zealand, and only they have 4 fatalities, I think, yeah, in New Zealand, because they know that they are very much in the high risk, yeah, for this pandemic. In New Zealand, they only have 5 million people, yeah, around 5 million people for the whole country. So if the pandemic is really severe, that will be diminish their own population, all of the population, yeah. So they are really tied to manage the borders and make sure that they trace people that infected by this virus, yeah. So it is maybe difficult to implement in our country because we have different demographic and geographic area comparing to New Zealand. But of course, we can be more aware that this virus is very crucial. I mean, very have a great impact to our economy and our health as well. So need to maintain and manage properly. So by this pandemic as well, we can have more research or study in order to help our government as well, or in order to help our society, maybe investors, yeah, or maybe policymaker, or maybe the industry. Yeah, we can conduct research on the COVID-19 and the impact, or maybe which business that still can survive, or which business that need help from the government. So it is a good topic to focus on, and I think the topic on COVID-19 is very quick to accept it by a good journal. Yeah, but of course, maybe that's one in the beginning of the pandemic. Right now, many people also doing the same thing. Yeah, so we need more innovation on the topic of COVID-19 and Islamic finance in order to get accepted by the good journal. Okay, I think that is my answer, Mr. Aminuddin.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor, for your presentation and your question and answer session. So we are so really delightful and honored to have you today, this morning with us in this conference. If I can recap all your points, so you have highlighted the trend of the research, both in every topic of the Islamic financial industry, which is from Islamic banking, Islamic capital market, and also microfinance. Also, you have the highlight and provoke us and how to get the potential publication in the peer-reviewed journal with the topic of Islamic finance, and also you have highlighted the lack of data and then how to move forward with this situation. Okay, thank you very much, and
thank you very much for inviting me, Mr. Azhar Alam and all committee. and hope we may protect by Allah SWT during this pandemic.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and we look forward the collaboration between
Sure,
and
definitely.
Erlangga University in terms of research and student exchange or other things that we can collaborate in the future. So as what we did before, we would like to take a picture together with the committee and all participants. Please on your camera so that we can see your faces, and we'll have a break after this. Don't worry. Okay, so let me count everyone. Get ready. 3, 2, 1. Cheers. Another one. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Cheers. All right. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Bayu Arvianto, and hope to see you in the future agenda on the future event. Thank you. And with this, all participants and ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final session of the plenary, second plenary session. And I would like to apologize for if there are any mistakes in words or in utter or something on behalf of the moderator. And with this, I give back and I pass the event to the Master of Ceremony, Sister Habibah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the moderator, Professor Dr. Salina Kasim, and then Mr. Bayu Arifianto, SE, MBA, PhD. Ladies and gentlemen, as the moderator said, there are 3 best questioners, and I will inform to you that the 3 lucky people are, first, Brother Ade R. Setiawan, Sister Rika Septiani, and then Sister Ani Sri Utami. Congratulations to all of you. Don't forget to contact the committee. And for all participants, don't forget to fill the attendance immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the break section. I would like to remind you that after this,